I knew the ground was about to shift the second Victor Lang flashed that grin during the all-hands meeting. It wasn't apologetic or strained. It was the satisfied curl of a man who relished delivering bad news from a position of power. I sat 3 seats back from Marcus Reed in the packed conference room at Vanguard Capital's Chicago headquarters. My lukewarm coffee, the only thing keeping my hands steady. The slides droned on about quarterly liquidity challenges, cost optimization strategies, and positioning the firm for sustainable growth amid market headwinds. Corporate speak for tightening the screws. Then Victor stepped up to the podium. Sleeves rolled precisely, polished loafers gleaming under the lights, and delivered the hammer blow, effective immediately. There will be no performance bonuses distributed this fiscal year. This is a necessary step for long-term financial health and shared responsibility across the team. The room went dead silent. No gasps, no outbursts, just a collective exhale of disbelief as faces around me tightened, eyes widening, shoulders dropping. A senior analyst in the front row visibly deflated, her pen slipping from her fingers onto the notepad. Victor continued, without pause, pivoting smoothly into talking points about resilience, collective sacrifice, and how this decision reflected strong leadership. I caught Marcus's profile. He didn't react outwardly. No clenched jaw. No frantic typing into his laptop. Just that steady gaze fixed forward, as if committing every syllable to some internal ledger. In that instant, I sensed he was already somewhere else mentally, cataloging the moment with clinical detachment. Bonuses weren't written in stone. But after hitting most of our targets in a tough economy, everyone had counted on at least something. The real gut punch was Victor's delivery, like we should feel privileged just to keep our desks. When a junior associate typed a polite question in the chat about whether entry-level incentives were impacted too, Victor chuckled lightly. Everyone's feeling the pinch equally, he replied. A non-answer wrapped in false camaraderie. The meeting wrapped shortly after, and people drifted out in stunned clusters. Some heading straight for the elevators, others lingering at desks staring blankly at screens. HR sent a generic email about open doors for concerns, but Slack channels fizzled quickly under the weight of collective dread. That afternoon, the office hummed with low murmurs. People crunched personal budgets aloud, rent in Lincoln Park, student loans, daycare costs, turning anxiety into grim group therapy. Optimists whispered about potential reversals after the next quarter. But Marcus stayed silent, focused on his work with unusual intensity. He switched to his personal laptop mid-morning, a subtle shift no one else seemed to register amid the fog of disappointment. As I walked past his desk later, I spotted a single handwritten note stuck to his monitor. 7:45 p.m. verified. The precise script sent a faint chill through me. His eyes flicked up briefly, acknowledging my presence without warmth, then returned to the screen. The next day brought a smaller leadership huddle. Victor reiterated the cuts to department heads behind glass walls, framing it as preserving jobs, a favor. Really? By Wednesday, the tension lingered like static in the air. Marcus's routine changed quietly. Fewer casual exchanges. Deeper dives into archived files untouched for quarters. I glimpsed his monitors once, vendor payment histories, obscure entities with names like Cascade Holdings and Meridian Vale, routed through unfamiliar banks. One comparison showed duplicate invoices for the same strategic consulting project, one domestic, one international, totaling over $1 million in outflows. Nothing flashy, just methodical cross-referencing of ledgers, audit trails, and public registries. Victor strutted through the break room later, boasting to a junior ops guy how the firm dodged deeper layoffs. They should thank us for keeping the lights on, he said with that plastic smile. Marcus passed the doorway at that exact moment, pausing imperceptibly before continuing on. That evening, after retrieving my forgotten charger, I returned to find the finance floor dimly lit. Marcus sat alone, bathed in dual monitor glow, keystrokes rhythmic and unhurried. He accessed legacy systems most had forgotten, pulling raw transaction data spanning years. No frustration, no muttered complaints, just absolute focus. Folders labeled with clinical precision appeared briefly, vendor mappings, approval chains, overlap analyses. One stood out, tagged with Victor's name in the metadata. By week's end, whispers of bonus despair had quieted into resignation. Marcus spoke less, worked more deliberately. He pulled physical archives, flagged old printouts, cross-checked against digital trails. His calm unnerved me most. It hinted at something building beneath the surface. Patient and irreversible. Patience in finance exposes what arrogance overlooks. Victor assumed compliance. Marcus had begun assembling something sharper, a mirror to reflect the rot without fanfare. The air thickened with unspoken questions. How deep did the discrepancies run? And what would Marcus do when he found the source? The following week unfolded in layers of quiet revelation. Marcus's investigation gained momentum without announcement. He traced payments to entities lacking real footprints, Cascade Holdings registered to a nondescript address in Delaware. Meridian Vale wired through Cayman accounts despite vague leadership optimization contracts. Amounts matched suspiciously, duplicate retainers for identical scopes, routed differently to obscure the trail. One vendor, Apex Horizon, appeared repeatedly in Victor's approved expenses, linked to his prior role at a rival firm. Public records showed sparse details. Shared agents handling dozens of shells. Zero verifiable deliverables. I approached Marcus casually at lunch, probing if the bonus freeze felt permanent. He met my eyes steadily. Did any of those Horizon contracts cross your desk for sign-off? I hadn't, and the implication landed hard. This wasn't about reclaiming lost pay. Marcus was mapping systemic abuse. His notes accumulated in a locked drawer, handwritten timelines, color-coded risk flags. No outbursts, just surgical precision, like preparing evidence for an unseen court. Victor remained oblivious, his arrogance blooming. He hosted informal check-ins, praising team grit while dismissing concerns with platitudes. One evening, I overheard him in the kitchen. Hard choices build character. Rent's tough, but that's life. His chuckle echoed hollowly. Marcus overheard too, his posture unchanging, but I sensed the internal tally increasing. Deeper dives revealed more. Marcus accessed an old internal database, exporting years of approvals, timestamps, workflow histories. A pattern emerged. Large outbound transfers clustered around Victor's decisions, reclassified vendors. Priority wires bypassing standard procurement. One entry chilled me, a $1.15 million movement to a Cayman entity labeled Tactical Overhead Initiative, authorized solely by Victor via private channel. Time-stamped minutes after the bonus announcement. No contract attached. No invoice justification beyond buzzwords. Marcus didn't celebrate the find. He simply expanded the web, nodes linking dates, internal memos, staff changes, public filings. At the center sat Victor's authorizations. The discovery crystallized his path forward. He wasn't chasing vengeance, he sought exposure. He drafted nothing for internal channels, knowing whistleblower hotlines often looped back to the wrong ears. Instead, he activated an old encrypted account under a family pseudonym, preparing a zipped package of logs, screenshots, and mappings. No cover letter, just raw data scheduled for a trusted financial journalist known for meticulous exposés. The office atmosphere grew heavier. Colleagues speculated on reversals or cutbacks. But Marcus remained an island of calm precision. He deleted preliminary drafts, streamlined his evidence, and locked away the drive. When I asked if confronting leadership was an option, he replied evenly, "Some truths need distance to land cleanly." His restraint amplified the stakes. Corporate loyalty tested against personal ethics. The human cost of greed masked as strategy. Victor doubled down publicly with a company-wide note downplaying complaints, laced with generational jabs. Comments disabled. Reactions muted. Marcus saw it but continued undeterred. His preparation reflected years of quiet observation, spotting Victor's style from day one, anticipating the need for a private fuse. Not impulse, but calculated readiness. The pivotal transaction sealed it. Marcus shared his screen discreetly one afternoon, the $1.15 million wire to the offshore shell, executed within minutes of Victor declaring no bonuses. Coincidence? I ventured weakly. He opened adjacent files, no supporting contract. Approval routed privately. Marked priority. The bonus pool hadn't vanished into market woes. It had been redirected under layers of obfuscation. Marcus's expression showed quiet confirmation, not triumph. He cleared secondary monitors, compiled a master spreadsheet. Vendors, dates, amounts, routes, approvers. No theatrics, just columns exposing the mirror. He bypassed formal complaints, hovering briefly over the hotline before closing it. The encrypted drop was set. Tuesday morning delivery to the journalist's inbox. Timed for maximum initial attention. That decision marked his exit from passive observation. He worked with renewed sharpness, vetting registries, Street View checks revealing fake addresses like empty lots behind strip malls. 6 shells formed the network, all tied to Victor's approvals. Helix-related entities linked back to his LinkedIn history. Marcus bookmarked everything. Exported clean captures lacking metadata traces. Emotionally, the office frayed. Families strained by missing bonuses. Whispered resentments. Eroded trust. Marcus's silence stood out, a counterpoint to rising despair. He confided minimally. It's about verifying the truth, not winning applause. The moral weight pressed, personal risk versus collective harm. Silence enabling theft. He finalized the package late one night. USB secured. Account primed. Before leaving, he reflected briefly on the human stakes. Colleagues' mortgages. Futures deferred by one man's opportunism. No grand speech. Just steady resolve. The fuse was lit quietly, set to ignite without his direct hand. The article dropped Tuesday like a detonation. Vanguard executive tied to offshore fund rerouting headlined the respected outlet, featuring timelines, bank details, shell names, and pristine internal captures. Slack exploded, shock emojis, frantic queries, rapid shares. Legal scrambled with generic review in progress statements. Threads filled with disbelief. Our Victor? Marcus tapped calmly through routine tasks amid the storm. When sales erupted in recognition, he sipped coffee unfazed, jaw subtly tense. Emergency huddle called urgently. Victor rushed past, disheveled, clutching his phone desperately. In the room, he demanded audits, accused leakers of sabotage. His voice cracked, polish stripped. Legal presented matching originals. The master spreadsheet surfaced. Victor faltered as the board chair joined via video. How many hidden transfers? Victor? Silence crushed him. His eyes darted to Marcus, who adjusted a formula impassively. The room exhaled in processing shock. Victor unraveled publicly, demanding logs and tracing. Legal confirmed internal sourcing. By afternoon, his office emptied abruptly, escorted out, badge revoked, access severed. Whispers detailed the exit, attempts to contact higher-ups, visible distress. Chaos transitioned to methodical scrutiny. Compliance teams pored over records. Marcus faced questioning last, notebook in hand but unopened. Post-interview. Legal quietly noted his insight for temporary controls review. The leak's precision, clean exports. Surgical selection, pointed internally. But Marcus claimed no credit. Theories swirled, yet his preparation predated Victor's tenure. A long-coiled safeguard. Weeks later, the dust settled unevenly. Darren no. Victor's position erased from org charts. Office repurposed silently. Compliance dissected his approvals thoroughly. A video all-hands announced retroactive bonuses, framed as recognition for resilience. Faces softened with relief. Tension easing visibly. Marcus shifted remote. Status set to undisturbed. I texted during the call. He replied knowingly. Bonuses were inevitable once exposed. Later, an unsigned board email arrived simply. Thank you. Closure without spectacle. In final reflection, Marcus archived his materials quietly. The outcome underscored deeper questions. How often does quiet vigilance prevent greater harm versus the personal toll of exposure? Victor's downfall highlighted corporate fragility when greed meets methodical truth. Marcus walked away unchanged outwardly, but the firm stood because one person refused silence. What lingers is whether such justice arrives often enough, or if most thefts remain buried under layers of indifference. The cost-saving excuse rang hollow forever after. True savings came from accountability, however delayed and understated.